My name is LVines, and I have worked in public education for over 20 years. I am currently pursuing a doctoral degree in education from one of the nation's premier institutions, High Point University. When I tell people that I'm an educator, I get every response imaginable, from their sympathies to accolades to queries and questions and sometimes strange looks. However, education is the field that I chose because I respected and revered those educators who positively impacted my life. I had no idea what being an educator would entail, nor did I have any idea that the once respected field would become one of the most disrespected professions some 20 years later. Yet I am still pursuing education, because it has become my life's passion. Positively impacting the lives of the children I have the fortune of coming into contact with keeps me going to work every day determined to make it a good day for all of us. When I was younger, education was billed as the great equalizer. Families where neither parent finished high school nor could they conceive of being able to afford to attend college instilled in their children that they would go to school beyond high school and that they would succeed. That generation of parents was the one my mom was raised in, and so I knew from a very young age that not only was college my way out of poverty, it was the path that I would be on in my own personal life. My mother respected educators, trusted their word and their opinions. She truly believed that the people who were in those classes of my neighborhood school were there to help me, that they wanted me to succeed and were sought at nothing less than my personal success. In 1981, St. Louis Public Schools were forced to integrate. Up to that point, I had been shielded from prejudice, racism, and the many forms of discrimination that I would be confronted with. I had lived in the community where I attended school, and so did the majority of my leaders. I remember being on the school bus for the first time, going to a school outside of my neighborhood, where we had heard that there were people protesting our arrival. When we arrived, there were angry people there, yelling racial slurs at the elementary-aged children getting off of that bus and wandering into that uncertainty. I can remember the taunts telling us to go back where we came from, and the very cool reception we received from the teachers that I had been taught had my best interest at heart and that I needed to respect. I have never forgotten the fear, the confusion, and the hurt that 8-year-old me felt. The negative experience became the cornerstone of who I am today. Once I determined that I would be an educator, I knew that I would have to be as fair to every student that I worked for as I wanted someone to be fair to me. That I would make sure that every student felt heard, included, and wanted. And that is why the basis for my fundamental educational beliefs and practices are rooted in the philosophy of Abraham Maslow. The philosophy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs deals with the steps that I want all children, regardless of financial, racial, ethnic, or religious beliefs, to achieve. Physiological safety, love and belonging, self-esteem, and self-actualization are the tenets that Maslow and I believe that all children must have to be successful. His hierarchy of needs may seem complex and easy while looking at education as a whole, but it is more specific when it comes to dealing with students and the adults who choose to become and remain educators. The physiological need of sustenance may not seem to fit within the framework when people think of education, but for a lot of children across America, school is the one place that they are guaranteed at least 2 meals to eat. The routine and expectation that their teachers have help them to reach that homeostatic state where for a little while, even when their family is living in abject poverty, they belong. Because of the nature of our community and climate, even in the midst of school shootings and massacres, schools and teachers are working to ensure that all our students feel safe. The development of zero-tolerance policies against bullying, weapons, and drugs in or around schools helps students to see and feel that we are creating a workplace where they can be safe, harassment-free, violent-free, and they can learn. Once the physiological needs of the child are met, I believe an environment where he or she can safely voice their opinions and participate in the learning experience, then their self-esteem will increase, and they too can begin to see education as the equalizer it was billed to me to be. However, none of this can be done by educators in the trenches alone. Teachers too must feel safe to express their opinions, should be able to earn a fair and decent wage to support their families, and be encouraged to grow academically. Building leaders, board members, and the community as a whole must work together to close the financial, technological, and capacity building gaps that affect how teachers instruct and how children are able to learn. Yes, schools go out of their way to even the playing fields by providing meals, technology, and other resources that family may not be able to afford. These address the day-to-day issues, but do nothing to address the root of the problem that we face in our society between the haves and the have-nots. We as a society have all got to believe in equity and not just equality, know the definition of both, and when to apply them. The old adage of give a man a fish and he eats today, teach a man to fish and he eats forever is where we need to be as educators and people in our community. We have got to want for every child the same fundamental rights that we want for our own children. We have got to put the value back in educating our children and keeping them off the pipeline to prison. This means putting our money where our mouth is, routing monies to educational institutions regardless of their category, be they charter, public, private, or magnet, and holding them all to the same standards is the only way to move our educational system forward. I am in education today because I believe our children are in fact our future and our greatest resource. If we do not put the time and effort into providing them with what they need to succeed, we are a nation on our path to total destruction. I am an educator today because I believe the first step starts with me.